Hey everybody, welcome back to Andertons TV. I'm joined today by the wonderful Alex Hutchings. And of course, he's brought with him a new toy from Boss. Boss, Roland, as you all know, have an amazing heritage in guitar and guitar synthesis. But GS-1 is kind of taking that to a whole new level. So Alex, tell us a little bit about the guitar that you've brought with you today.
Yeah, well, it's very exciting because for the first time, Boss has actually created the entire instrument. So the guitar itself is Boss branded, and obviously all the wonderful synth technology you just mentioned. So, and it's all on board. You don't need any external stuff. It's right inside the guitar.
I'm kind of excited because I've been doing this for a long time, selling guitars, and even when I started, you could buy this idea of units on the floor that would do some sort of synthy guitar sound. But what's exciting about this is sort of the recent technologies moved away from that kind of pitch to MIDI and all of the triggering issues that pitch to MIDI would create. And so we're not even really talking like synth in the sense of triggering external sounds here. We're just, everything that you're hearing in this video is the guitar using internal technology straight into our mixer. If you're hearing normal guitar, which of course it is as well, that's just going through a Boss GT-1000 core on the floor and again into the sound card. So it's quite exciting really to have that much power straight at your fingertips. But we've spent a ton of time, we're in our temporary accommodation at the moment, so apologies that it's all white and a bit echoey in here and stuff like that. But we are taking advantage of the fact we've got a huge empty warehouse for a few days. So we've got some sort of epic sounds of Alex playing, and we'll cut in and out during this video at different sounds. But yeah, give us take us through, like you say, it's a beautiful guitar in its own right. So maybe let's start with that bit, talk about just the guitar.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's very comfortable to play. It's quite modern in its sort of setting, 24 frets, 5-way selector as you would expect. So you've got that kind of humbuckery tone as well as the splits. Some nice hardware, locking tuners, which I have on my own custom guitars as well. Also, it's got a Gotoh trem, which is very responsive as well. All is a sign of a good trem when you can get that bank. So it's just a solid instrument in itself. And then obviously you have all this amazing synth capability. I'm just going to very quickly mention it as it's here. So this screen that you might be able to see is the app. And through the app, you can completely change the sound. So for example, I can go up, change to pad sounds, lead tones, and then you have variations. You see, you can scroll up and down, and there's just a ton of cool sounds. And even from then, once you've selected your sound, you see you can change the resonance, the filtering, all these kind of things. So you can really customize it to your liking.
Well, one of the things that I found with demonstrating some of the older Boss guitar synth stuff was, I think it's always well documented that the triggering was an issue, and in the sense there's so much information being collected on the guitar and then working out what note it is and then transferring it to MIDI and then triggering so you always had this quite disconnected feel. But I also felt that trying to play a piano in the way a pianist would play it on a guitar was a sort of a fruitless exercise tricky. Anyway. You were never going to get that. So so the two things that I like about where Boss have gone with GS-1 is the tracking is now, because it's not doing pitch to MIDI, it's as fast as you can play anything.
Exactly.
It responds to all vibrato, harmonics are all
Tremolo
interpreted correctly.
stuff, yeah,
Everything's amazing. And also, though, you're not really going for traditional MIDI instruments, are you, within the sound? So perhaps that's a good opportunity, perhaps, to talk about the types of... Because we're calling it a synth, but it's not necessarily like a guitar synth in perhaps some of the older... it's very much just about a guitar that doesn't make guitar sounds.
I think perhaps one way you could look at it is synthesis, in the sense, if you imagine the sound of a guitar string, let's say, that G string note is just creating the synth sound instead of a regular guitar sound. Do you see what I mean? But it's not, there's no conversion, it's just very cleverly able to make that traditional sound of the guitar synthesized. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can affect each element of that. You know, just like if you play an actual synth and you see the guys filtering stuff, you're essentially doing that to just the regular guitar. There's no special pickup. It's all just naturally coming out.
Well, I think this is a good opportunity to cut to some of the footage we've done already, and we'll show you on screen some of the patches that Alex is using. And yes, just enjoy this next bit. There's some pretty epic sort of sounds coming out. So let's have a listen to that. I mean, epic stuff there. I could listen to that literally all day. We saw you in that video kind of using a couple of pedals on the floor. You've got a couple of expression pedals. Tell us, what those are doing and how they're connected to the guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I should mention that the app you connect via Bluetooth. So the guitar has Bluetooth in itself, and I'm on my phone right here, but it's just on the screen for convenience, so you can see what's going on here. But this is currently Bluetooth.
It's very much like the Katana kind of visually, isn't it?
Yeah.
So nice and easy to use. If
very
you're familiar with
familiar.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that allows you to use this pedal here, which is called the EV1W, I believe. And that's super cool because you can do multiple expression functions. So, for example, volume would be an obvious one. There's a toe switch, just like a wah-wah. As you kick the toe switch, it will filter, So let's go into an example of that. You see, as I move my foot, the tone is changing, which is pretty awesome. So everything's talking to each other at the same time. And if you go into here, there's other functions, like where in some of the examples you'll hear, I'm using the other foot switch where I can hold the synth.
Yes.
And then I can even change pitch with this. So there's so many things you can do with it. And I guess the idea is to allow my interpretation of Boss and Roland generally is they try to give so many options so the musician can just discover stuff and be creative, you know.
I mean, what we probably should do is, I don't know if we really got that across there. That expression pedal on the floor is completely wireless as well.
Yes.
The only cable plugged into it at the moment is, well, there's one that attaches the FS 6 to it. And then we have got mains coming into it just for the purpose of the demo, but it's battery powered as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So kind of crazy that you've got this, like, you know, and we were even saying you've got 2 jack cables coming out of the guitar, which are obviously plugged into the GT1000.
Yeah.
We could conceivably replace those with 2 wireless transmitters and go like completely bonkers wireless.
So what's cool about this is that, you know, the guitar itself, as we mentioned, has the 2 outputs, right? So each player can sort of dictate how they want to use it. So personally, I like the idea of having both out. So I've got my guitar and synth separated. But if you just use a regular cable, one cable, you can then have both through that. So the one we set up for you here, Lee, has just that. So you can plug directly into an amp and switch between the guitar and the synth, etc., etc. So I don't know if this would be an apt point for you to try it.
I'm going to do it right at the end, I think, just as a sort of a...
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've got the 2 outputs coming, both going into the GT1000 core, but you've set the GT1000 up as like 2 discrete mono paths through it, haven't you?
Exactly.
So we're not using a guitar amp in here, we've just got a multi-effects unit and then straight into the desk. And then the various switches and expression pedals on the floor are all just plugged into that or controlling the guitar. Before we started this video, I was back with the web team, and one of the people down there who didn't play guitar said, so what kind of is it? You know, then is it a guitar for someone that, you know, can't play keyboard or whatever? And I was like going, that's actually a really good question. And I said, I actually feel it's possibly going to become its own instrument in itself. Because I mean, I know when I've done these demos before, if you just pick it up and play blues licks with a trumpet sound on it, it's just like, oh, so bad. You know? So you kind of have to find, and I think you do a brilliant job of that during the demos downstairs, of just approaching it, going, I've got the opportunity now to create these sounds, so let's play something appropriate to the sound rather than just play the same lick that I would play anyway with a different kind of synthy sound. Particularly some of that layering stuff. I can see that as, and I think where it's super early days at the moment, but I think where this will be accepted will be when that first epic song comes out and someone goes, how did they do that? How did they get that sound? And it'd be like, oh, well, because they use something like this or they use this, you know, because it is, you've got all of the touch and the nuances that a guitar can do that a keyboard can't, but making sounds that are more reminiscent of what might come out of a keyboard rather than a guitar. And I think it's just about getting players like you and very creative players to just find that it's like a new journey, isn't it? Of like, So I mean, again, when you're writing, how do you approach, you know, what's your mindset when you're plugged into an instrument like this then and you're writing songs? Is it very different to when you've just got a normal 6-string electric guitar?
Yeah, I think it's more like we were saying just now, just how an instrument makes you feel, you know, when you're playing, you know, just like plugging into an amp or a particular pedal or something, you know, you think, oh, that's a cool vibe, and you start playing some heavy riff or something, right? Yeah. So personally, when I plug something like this in, as you heard in some of the examples, hopefully, it just extracts something different from myself, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to respond in real time to the instrument as a creative person, and to some degree, I'm someone that I always wanted to be, aspire to be called a musician, not a guitarist, right? Because I love music, and I try not to think of myself just as a guitarist. You know, I love piano and I play a bit of saxophone and drums and whatever. So in that respect, I get very excited when the instrument that I'm the best at, I have a different palette of sounds which are just inspiring in a different way. So I think in that respect, the individual can extract what they deem to sound pleasing, and blend it and mix it and you know, interact with it, filter it. And see where it takes you, you know?
That's, I mean, and that I think is kind of, that's the essence, I think, of the thought that's gone into that. I've got a kind of a challenge for you.
Okay.
Many people who'll be watching this will have probably had some experience of using pitch to MIDI guitar at some point in the past, and will have come up against that kind of like, you know, that if they'll have either tried it and gone, I don't really like it, or they'll have worked out how to play to get the best out of it. Do the craziest speed shred that you can on here with a synth sound. Use the dive bomb, everything. Woo. Literally try.
Here we go.
To like just do something you just couldn't do if it was oldie-fashioned technology.
There you go.
Bloody hell.
Something like that.
Epic.
Yeah.
Okay, well look, we're going to end this video now. I'm going to have my first go on this guitar, first impressions, everything. Matt from Boss, who is sitting off camera here, has loaded up some patches, which he, I think he's sort of assured me that this, I can, well, we'll find out, won't we? But I've got some patches that he's loaded in. It's a really nicely made guitar. It's Japanese made. A lot of attention to detail. It's got a slightly sort of simplistic look to it, I suppose, but it's really nicely made. All the detail around the cavities is very nice. I think, you know, when you see the price of these, there's not a lot of change out of £2,000 at the moment. I think it's fair to say that the lion's share of the money, probably 75% of the money, has just been spent on the guitar. And it does feel, you know, like a £1,500 Japanese nice guitar. So we got quite a lot going on the back here. Battery pack here. Is that rechargeable batteries?
It's
or
double A's.
Normal double A's? What
Yeah.
kind of life do you get out of those?
That's around about 9 hours, I believe.
Oh, nice. Off the little double A's. I like it. Nice
Yeah.
clear indication as to whether you've got some juice or not. Obviously quite a big cavity cut out here where there's presumably some electronic gubbins here. Normal tremolo cavity. Weight-wise, it's about the same as just picking up a Strat, isn't it? I'm guessing
Yeah,
it's what, sort of about £8, something like that. The Gotoh trem is absolutely one of my favourite trems.
Yeah.
Aftermarket kind of trem, really. Anyway, let's see. That's my normal guitar sound with the switch up here. I am, as Alex mentioned earlier, just using a single cable output, so it's summing everything into my amp. And I'm just using my trusty 50-watt Katana. I'm not even sure it's a Mark II, to be honest with you. It's not. So there we go. He says, don't play the same old blues licks. And what does he start with? He plays with the same old blues licks. I see. So this one's just set up so that this is a volume control for the synth. So normal guitar. My favourite bit of the stuff you did in the main warehouse was, and where I could kind of go, most guitarists would probably have a lot of fun with that, was the hold.
Yes.
You know, so you find a nice key that you want to play in, and then you just, because all those sort of, you know, synthy sounds lend themselves, I think, to that sort of long sustained. It's just such an epic kind of intro chord, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I know keyboard players will say we've got pitch wheels and modulation and everything like that, but it's not a trem system. Yeah, I almost feel as well, I genuinely don't, this is not, I know we've said it before, this can't do pitch to MIDI.
No,
so you have all your virtual instruments all plugged in there, and you can't then go and trigger them with this. So it's not, you haven't got to sack your keyboard player just yet. This is very much, I think for me, it's just new sounds played on an instrument that is a guitar.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right, this control here, I believe, does different settings. So if I don't have a foot switch or any other way of changing them, I've got 6 sounds stored here. I even like the fact that if you're sort of feel comfortable with that idea that if you pick in a certain way, it adds a certain dynamic to the note.
Indeed.
It's still doing that in the synth mode.
So it's basically responding, like I say, not only to the pickup selection, but how hard you hit, like I say, bending, trem, obviously everything you do.
The tracking is crazy. I mean, because it's not tracking, is it? It's just...
It is what it is, yeah. It's just the guitar sound.
It's just the guitar sound. Oh, what have we got here?
Woo. Nice.
Is that an arpeggiated?
The control knob was changing it a whole octave up or cool.
That's wicked. I don't know, I've forgotten which way I'm going now. Yeah, I think I'm going backwards, aren't I?
I'm hoping you've got a bass in there. If you flick around, that might be nice. There he is.
It's so funky, isn't it? Look!
Cool.
I mean, normally I hate this kind of technology and I just put a brave face on it and do the videos anyway. But I like it. I'm loving the fact that lots of brands, Fender have done it recently with the Tone Master amplifiers, where they just go, I see the power of digital,
Yeah.
but I need to put it in a package that, like, the duffer guitar player can just kind of go, oh yeah, it's not, trying to think of, I always think like Apple with the iPhone do a great job of making incredible technology feel easy to use.
Sure, yeah.
And that's the challenge, because I think the music industry feels to me like at first amazing technology is embraced, but in a way that's really difficult to use. And the challenge is to then get it to that point where, like, musicians feel like I'm still putting 99% of my brain power into making music and not 99% of my brain power into going, how does this thing work? That's very cool. It's very cool. I'm sort of, I'm quite happy to say I was quite skeptical whether I'd sort of connect with it prior to doing the video. Hard to know really. And I like to try to be critical a bit. I mean, what are people not going to like? I guess the guitars are such a personal visual connection that I suppose there will be some people going, I don't really like the look of it. I kind of feel what Boss have done here is they've gone, let's just try and go as vanilla as possible so that it's not really, they're probably unlikely to go, I love it or hate it. They're just sort of going to go, looks all right,
Well, green and pointy might be a bit too far one way,
yeah.
or sunburst.
Other than that, I don't really know, what is there to...
I think it's non-offensive, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's not, it's non-offensive.
Yeah. There we go. I really, really look forward to hearing guys like yourself and, players that push the boundary a bit more, just grabbing these guitars and going, look what I've done. I like it. So, well, thank you very much, Alex, for coming in.
My pleasure.
Who'd like to see Alex back for a Captain Meets at some point in the future? Yes, if we get a few thumbs up for that, we'll invite him back. But yeah, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too.
And thank you very much to everyone at Boss for organising today. There we are. Links in the description below. I think this comes out, it's definitely due in 2021 at some point, but I think it'll be maybe a teeny bit later in the year. Not much of 2021 to go yet, is there? So
exactly.
there can't be too long to wait. One colour, so nice and easy to decide. Presumably, sadly, only right-handed at the moment, right? So maybe left-handed, who knows? And
You could always do a Hendrix.
yes, and I know actually yours is a Samsung. No, it's what is it? Yours
This is
yours
a
an
very
Apple.
old, beaten-up iPhone.
But we're talking full Android and iOS
Yes.
capability, connectivity, whatever the right word is. So, Bosch, got any questions? Fire them down below and we'll get one of the guys hopefully to send you a response. But thank you so much again for coming in. It's always a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed what you heard Alex play. He has his own YouTube channel. He doesn't have Instagram. He's stuck in the 90s. So go check. We'll put a link below. Check him out. He's a very, very talented man. Yes.
Cheers.
Thanks, man. See you soon.
All the best.
Bye.